What if you could decode the hidden rules that govern all human interaction? What if the dynamics of power, from the boardroom to your personal relationships, weren't a mystery, but a game with a clear set of rules? Robert Greene's controversial masterpiece, The 48 Laws of Power, claims to do just that. It's a book that has been called a mega cult classic and has been seen in the hands of everyone, from CEOs and political leaders to hip hop icons like Jay-Z and 50 Cent. But is it a guide for success or a blueprint for manipulation? Stick around, because we're about to dive deep into one of the most talked about books of the last 3 decades. So, who was the man behind this provocative work? Robert Greene is an American author with a background in classical studies. Before writing The 48 Laws of Power, he worked around 50 different jobs, observing people and power dynamics from all walks of life. He distilled 3,000 years of human history, from the courts of Machiavelli and the battlefields of Sun Tzu to the shrewd tactics of figures like Queen Elizabeth I and the con artists of the 20th century, into a single, unflinching volume on how power works. The premise is simple. Power is a fundamental force in our lives, and it's better to understand it than to be a victim of it. But let's get one thing straight right away. This book is controversial for a reason. It's been banned in several U.S. prisons and is often criticized for its seemingly amoral and manipulative advice. Greene's laws don't care about fairness or ethics. They care about results. So, is this a guide for psychopaths? Or is it an essential tool for navigating a complex world? We're not here to judge, but to understand. And to do that, we won't just list the laws. That would be impossible. Instead, we're going to group them into 4 core themes to decode the psychology of power. The core summary: grouping the laws. Theme 1: the arts of discretion and secrecy. The first rule of the power game is that you don't talk about the power game. Greene dedicates several laws to the idea that what you hide is often more powerful than what you show. This theme includes laws like Law 3, Conceal Your Intentions, and Law 4, Always Say Less Than Necessary. The psychology here is fascinating. When you're open and honest, you're predictable. You lay all your cards on the table. But when you say less, people project their own theories and anxieties onto your silence. It makes you seem more profound and in control. The less you say, the more likely you are to avoid saying something foolish, and the more others will hang on your every word when you finally do speak. Power is often a game of appearances, and silence can be a powerful tool of intimidation. A master of this was Andy Warhol. He would often answer questions from journalists with a simple yes or no, or just a vague, I don't know. This forced people to interpret his art and his persona for themselves, creating an aura of mystery that made him endlessly fascinating and kept him in the public eye for decades. Theme 2: mastering your image and reputation. Greene argues that power is heavily dependent on perception. Your reputation is the cornerstone of your power. This group includes laws like Law 5, So Much Depends on Reputation, Guard It With Your Life, Law 25, Recreate Yourself, and the provocative Law 6, Court Attention at All Cost. Let's focus on Law 6. Greene writes that it's better to be attacked and slandered than to be ignored. Why? Because in a crowded world, obscurity is a death sentence. Attention, whether positive or negative, is the currency of power. The historical master of this was the 19th century showman P.T. Barnum. Barnum wasn't afraid of controversy, he actively courted it. He created outrageous hoaxes like the Fiji mermaid and generated massive publicity through public debate and even outright condemnation. He understood a fundamental truth. Once you have people's attention, you can shape their perception. He knew that being talked about, even negatively, kept his name on everyone's lips and his circus filled with paying customers. Theme 3: Strategic social interaction. This theme is all about mastering the delicate dance of social dynamics. It's not just what you do, but how you make others feel. This includes critical laws like Law 9, win through your actions, never through argument. And perhaps the most famous of all, Law 1, never outshine the master. The psychology is simple but crucial. Everyone has an ego, and the people in power are often the most insecure. If you make your superior feel insecure, you will pay the price. Law 1 advises making those above you feel comfortably superior. The perfect cautionary tale is that of Nicolas Fouquet, the finance minister to King Louis XIV of France. Fouquet was brilliant and wealthy, and to honor his king, he threw the most lavish party imaginable at his new chateau. The party was meant to impress Louis, but it did the opposite. The king was so offended and threatened by Fouquet's display of wealth and taste that instead of rewarding him, he had Fouquet arrested and imprisoned for life. Fouquet didn't understand that he had catastrophically outshined his master. Theme 4. Decisive and unconventional action. The final theme is about how you move. Power players don't just react, they act with purpose and boldness. They control the game. This includes laws like Law 17, keep others in suspended terror, cultivate an air of unpredictability, and Law 28, enter action with boldness. Greene's insight here is that hesitation creates doubt, while boldness inspires confidence. If you are unsure, your doubts will infect your actions. Boldness, on the other hand, can mask your weaknesses. As Greene states, the bolder the lie, the more it is believed. Consider Napoleon Bonaparte. His military genius was not just in his strategies, but in the incredible speed and decisiveness with which he executed them. His boldness often caught his enemies completely off guard, creating an aura of invincibility. When you act with boldness, you project an authority that can intimidate and psychologically overwhelm your opponents before the real battle even begins. The critical perspective, the dark side of power. Now, we have to talk about the dark side. Many of these laws, like Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit, or Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy, are undoubtedly manipulative. Critics argue that the book promotes unethical, ruthless behavior and views life as a zero-sum game where you can only get power by taking it from others. This is the central dilemma of the 48 Laws of Power. It presents a cynical view of human nature, assuming everyone is driven by self-interest. And if you adopt this worldview completely, you risk becoming paranoid, isolated, and morally bankrupt. So this brings up a crucial question for all of us. Is it better to be aware of these games and choose not to play them, or to remain ignorant and potentially be a pawn in someone else's game? Greene's defenders argue the book is not a moral guide, but a descriptive one. It's not telling you how you should act, but how people in power have acted and continue to act. Understanding these laws is your best defense against those who would use them against you. Recognizing manipulation is the first step to disarming it. Conclusion and call to action. Ultimately, the 48 Laws of Power is not a book to be read passively. It's a challenging and often uncomfortable look into the mechanics of human ambition. The main takeaway isn't to become a heartless manipulator. It's to understand that the world is a strategic place and that being naive can be dangerous. The book is a powerful lens for viewing human nature, but it is not, and should never be, a moral compass. You have to decide for yourself how or if you'll apply this knowledge, but ignoring it completely might be a risk you can't afford to take. That's why I encourage you to read the book and form your own opinions. So, what's the most powerful law you've ever seen in action? Maybe in your workplace, in history, or even in a movie? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear your stories. And if you want more summaries of books that challenge your thinking and give you the tools for a smarter life, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Thanks for watching.